Now this is the last room I'm going to show you today, and it also marks the end of the Renaissance chambers. The next wing is Louis XVI style. It's from the 1750s and onwards. And that is where the high-ranking general during the years when Cold War was a military barracks, they would stay there in this wing. Now this is called the hunting room, and it's because all the tapestries here have a hunting theme. Now you ordered your tapestries with a theme, and you ordered them by measure. And as today, when you when you buy things on the internet, when you get your stuff, it doesn't always fit. And that was also the case then, because you would hang them up on the wall and oh, it didn't fit. For example, there's a doorway there, and it was maybe hidden behind a big tapestry when it was hung on the wall. You simply found your big scissors and you just cut it through, and then you could go through. They had a very practical sense of these things, no problem, even though they were very expensive. These tapestries had a threefold function. They would, of course, look fabulous and show that you were a wealthy person. Secondly, they would insulate the walls, help keeping the rooms warm. And thirdly, there was something with the acoustics. Imagine the ballroom with 600 people and music without the tapestries on the wall, just bare walls. It would have been unbearable. Now, this thing about insulation, in this room it's even colder than the previous ones. And it's horrible. Kronborg is a drafty old place. And it was even then. And especially in the 1600s, it was particularly cold. The sound between Denmark and Sweden froze over, and actually the Swedish army could march over the sound and invade Denmark. It has happened only a few times since. We call it the Little Ice Age in the 1600s because it was particularly cold. We have letters from guests who were staying here. They wrote home that when they were served a bowl of hot soup, it froze over before they could eat it. Maybe it's a bit exaggerated, but it illustrates the point that it was very, very cold here. And so how did you keep warm, especially at night? The king and queen had a person called a sleeper. It was a person who would lie in their bed all day, keeping it warm and snug. And when they felt like it, they could just jump into a warm night's bed. You could also, in the hotels in Elsinore, we know that you could buy a person who could sleep beside you all night, not with you. You probably could that too. But beside you, and the body heat would keep both of you warm, because people would die in their sleep of cold. So it really was a big deal, keeping warm. Otherwise you could put a brick in the fireplace or in the stove, get it hot, and you could wrap it in cloth or something and put it under your covers. So this thing with cold, it really was a big deal. Now, let's go through to the exit. Frederick V, there's a portrait there. Frederick was the last king. Frederick was the last king that we have been told. He was here 1 week because Kronborg was cold and drafty, and he decided to permanently make residence in Copenhagen. So that's where the army moved in from the 1750s and onwards. The army lived here, and not until 1991 the last soldier left Kronborg. They live in the buildings outside the Ram House.